As a kid who grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, WWE pay-per-views were always a huge part of my life. SummerSlam felt like an actual party. Unforgiven and Armageddon had that ominous vibe. Royal Rumble got you hyped for the surprise returns. The Great American Bash felt like a patriotic celebration. And WrestleMania had this grand, larger-than-life vibe that made it feel like the biggest show of the year. Every pay-per-view had its own unique identity. The excitement, the anticipation, the sleepless night before the show. It was like Christmas morning. But fast forward to today, and the magic has completely disappeared. Sure, we have more pay-per-views, WWE has the Netflix and ESPN deal, SummerSlam has become a two-night event. However, apart from a few shows with foreign audiences like Clash in Paris, or special appearances from names like Lesnar and The Rock,
the final boss,
WWE pay-per-views no longer have that special appeal. They feel like just another episode of Raw or SmackDown. The excitement is gone, the special atmosphere has vanished, and everything just feels generic. So what exactly happened to WWE pay-per-views over the years, and what are the three main factors that killed their magic? Let's find out together. A key reason why WWE pay-per-views back in the day felt so special was because of the unique presentation every show had. I still remember being blown away by the Armageddon stage when I saw it for the first time. The post-apocalyptic vibes with burned buildings and rubble gave the show its special feel. Jeff Hardy celebrating his first WWE Championship win on top of that stage is a moment burned into my memory forever. Judgment Day in 2001, where Austin faced The Undertaker, had these giant hourglasses on each side. Cyber Sunday and Taboo Tuesday always felt exciting to me just because of that giant keyboard and monitor stage they'd have, even if the matches on the show sucked. Backlash had those scythes, No Way Out had those chains, and even smaller pay-per-views had a vibe that differentiated them from everything else on the calendar. These didn't feel like just normal weekly wrestling shows. They were these grand, larger-than-life spectacles. It wasn't like tuning into a normal episode of Raw or SmackDown. The pay-per-views had their own elaborate stage designs, special theme songs, distinctive color schemes, and unique lighting that transported you into what felt like its own completely different universe. Another thing that I absolutely loved about these shows was how the posters were such brilliant pieces of art. The No Mercy poster in 2008 with Jeff Hardy hung upside down still remains one of my favorite posters till date. Even SummerSlam in 1998, Royal Rumble in 2001, Judgment Day in 2004, No Mercy and Armageddon in 2007. Heck, even shows like Breaking Point and Bragging Rights had amazing posters. Look at the poster for the SummerSlam events from 2006, 8, 9, and even 2010, where they feel like an actual summer party, and compare that to the SummerSlam posters from the last 2 years, where they have this dark, gloomy vibe that doesn't match the show at all. Back in the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era, each event had a unique personality, its own special atmosphere that you could feel the moment the opening video package started playing.
And now, WWE proudly presents.
Fast forward to 2025, and you can barely tell these pay-per-views apart from each other. Every event feels like a carbon copy of the last one. Same generic LED board setup, same sterile corporate lighting, same cookie-cutter presentation. No special sets, no unique atmosphere, no distinctive identity, and everything just blends together into this forgettable mess of mediocrity. Sure, they did the Eiffel Tower set for Clash in Paris, but apart from that, every show this year, from Backlash to Money in the Bank to even the much-hyped two-night SummerSlam, has felt generic and same as the other. The worst part is that you can barely tell these pay-per-views apart from the weekly Raw and SmackDown episodes anymore. When every show runs for roughly the same duration, features the same roster of superstars, and has identical production, you can barely distinguish between what's supposed to be a special event and what's just another Monday night. Back in the day, the weekly shows served as the appetizer that built anticipation and set up the storylines, while the pay-per-views were the main course where those feuds would finally be settled. But today, there's no escalation, no sense of progression, no feeling that you're about to witness something truly special that you can't see on the weekly shows. This brings us to the next and perhaps the biggest factor that's destroyed the magic of WWE pay-per-views. What made the pay-per-views absolutely must-see in the 90s and 2000s was the fact that they served as a stage for concluding the stories. Take Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels leading up to their ladder match at No Mercy in 2008, for example. This wasn't just about the title or proving who was the better wrestler. This was a slow burn that built up for months. Jericho attacked Michaels on his talk show, punched his wife, and you desperately wanted to see Michaels get his hands on Jericho and take the title away from him. Weeks of frustration, months of storytelling, everything finally came to a conclusion on a pay-per-view. Or how about Unforgiven in 2006? Edge and Cena had been battling the entire year to establish themselves as the face of the WWE. Edge slapped Cena's father. Cena threw Edge into the Long Island Sound. Edge cost Cena the WWE title at one night stand. And it all came down to a TLC match where Cena had to leave Raw if he lost. This is what made the pay-per-views a must-watch. Feuds would finally reach their conclusion. Titles would change hands in shocking fashion, and you couldn't wait to see how your favorite superstars would overcome impossible odds or how the most despicable villains would finally get their comeuppance. If you wanted to see who would walk out as the last man standing between Taker and Batista, you had to watch Backlash 2007. If you wanted to see Triple H get his revenge on Randy Orton for kissing his wife, putting Vince and Shane on the shelf, and making his life hell, you had to watch WrestleMania 25. The storylines back in the day were deeply personal sagas with genuine stakes. You weren't just watching two athletes compete for a championship, you were witnessing the culmination of months of betrayal, revenge, family drama, and personal vendettas that had you completely invested and made every pay-per-view must-see. You had to see if Orton could push Cena to his breaking point, or would Cena walk out as the WWE champion by making Orton quit. You had to see how Taker would get his revenge against Mr. Kennedy in a last ride match. These weren't things you'd just get on a normal Monday or Friday. But if you tune into WWE today, most feuds start and stop with no explanation, motivations change week to week, and nobody seems to have any real reason for doing what they're doing. Cena turns face without any actual build-up. Goldberg and Nikki Bella get title shots for just showing up. You have the women's division recycling the same stories with no progress. There are barely any long-term rivalries, no character development, and nothing that makes what happens on the pay-per-views different from what happens on Raw and SmackDown. WWE relies too heavily on old names, celebrity appearances,
Speed, you're in the Rumble. Go.
and surprise returns for one-off shock value moments instead of building stories and feuds over months that have fans genuinely invested. What made the ending of WrestleMania 40 special was that it provided a satisfying conclusion to a story fans had been invested in for almost 2 years. That was the last time WWE invested in a long-term story. What made the ending of WrestleMania 41 disappointing is that the build was lackluster, and then you had Travis Scott randomly show up to ruin the moment. Instead of making Cena turn face randomly on an episode of SmackDown before SummerSlam, they could have built it for weeks and had it culminate on a pay-per-view to make the moment historic. Instead of randomly throwing names into title matches, they could build the story for weeks and make these title shots feel earned. Because either way, the magic truly happened when every feud felt like it mattered more than just winning titles, when wrestling stories felt personal, when the ring served as a stage for settling blood feuds instead of advertising energy drinks. But perhaps the biggest factor that's killed the magic of WWE pay-per-views is something that's much more obvious and staring us right in the face. Remember when Royal Rumble used to feel special because you genuinely didn't know who was going to show up? It could be The Undertaker, Diesel, John Cena returning from injury. Anyone could show up, and the fans were always on their feet, waiting for that countdown to hit 0. But thanks to the internet and dirt sheets, all these surprises get ruined weeks in advance. You know exactly who is going to debut, who is going to return, and who is going to win the championship weeks in advance. You see, back in the day, the unpredictability and mystery of professional wrestling were what kept you excited. But fast forward to today, and you get all surprise returns, shocking moments, and major storyline developments leaked on the internet weeks before they happen. And while it's easy to blame the internet and social media for this, the wrestlers themselves have played a major role in destroying the very illusion that made wrestling magical in the first place. Guys like The Undertaker and Steve Austin would go to great lengths to preserve the mystique and kayfabe of the sport, staying in character even outside the ring and protecting the business at all costs. But today, you have stars openly breaking character on Twitter, posting behind-the-scenes photos with their supposed enemies, and treating wrestling like it's just another acting job. It's honestly hard to be emotionally invested in a blood feud when you go on Instagram and see both wrestlers hanging out together at dinner, posting selfies, and spilling all the backstage secrets about their storyline on a podcast. Even the post-show press conferences with Triple H and other executives feel like a corporate board meeting where they pat their own backs and flaunt revenue numbers. While the quality of these shows keep reaching an all-time low, the ticket prices continue to skyrocket. SummerSlam tickets are reaching $40,000, while WrestleMania packages are reaching 6 figures. This makes it impossible for the average WWE fan who grew up loving these shows to take their family and kids to attend one of these events. And even if you do manage to get your hands on one of these passes, the experience seems to be subpar at best. As a fan who brought the gold package for Clash in Paris pointed out that even though their package included a priority check-in, they ended up entering the arena 45 minutes late. Even the pre-show hospitality that came with the package only gave them a 5-second interaction window with names like BFAB, Rusev, and the Wyatt Six. Every move by WWE recently is positioned to maximize revenue without improving the actual product for lifelong fans. As things currently stand, unless there's a massive cultural shift back toward protecting kayfabe and treating wrestling with the respect it deserves, I don't ever see that magical feeling coming back to WWE pay-per-views. The internet has made it impossible to hide the surprises, and the wrestlers themselves seem more interested in building their personal brands and shooting TikToks than preserving the art form that made them famous. But as a lifelong wrestling fan, I will always be grateful for the memories that made my childhood and teenage years special. Whether it was staying up late to watch The Rock defend his championship, marking out for Royal Rumble surprises, or believing that The Undertaker really was an undead phenom, WWE gave us moments that felt genuinely magical in a way that today's product simply cannot replicate. But let me know what you think. Which is your favorite WWE pay-per-view? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.